Paar spreeksters. Als eerste heb ik iemand die anoniem wil blijven, maar toch wil spreken. Dat is een psycholoog uit Amerika. Dus ze gaat ook in het Engels spreken. We gaan het niet vertalen, we hopen dat jullie het gewoon begrijpen. Dus welkom.
This is very hard for me because I have friends standing over there. All I can say is what I'm about to say might not be popular here, but I want to be heard. 1 year ago, you might have found me over there. I've been a leftist my entire life. I grew up in America. I'm a psychologist and a researcher of risk assessment and identity. I worked and interned in male prisons and a female prison in the US. I was a therapist for sex offenders. My entire life, I've been a feminist, a proponent for social justice, inclusion, and a voice for marginalized people. I immigrated to Europe, and in particular to the Netherlands, to escape a misogynistic culture in the US, a place that clearly devalues women's rights, as evidenced by healthcare, maternal care, and in legal, social, and economic realms. And second, to escape an inhumane and profit-driven healthcare system fueled by the greed of big pharma companies. I first moved to the Netherlands 10 years ago to study. I returned to the Netherlands in 2020, and I'm sad to say that this country is losing its cultural identity. It embodies more and more of the toxic elements of American culture with each passing year. And that includes the predatory nature of profit-driven care systems that capitalize on people's pain. As a mental health professional and as a friend, I intimately understand the grave seriousness of the suicidality epidemic among young people. What I've learned from tending to the grief of loved ones in America who have had to say goodbye too soon to a young person is that they often desperately tried to fit into a box, to be liked and accepted for who they were. And they sadly failed to fit into this imagined ideal of what they thought it meant to be a happy or successful young man or woman. I do not believe that surgery or hormones are the solution to this, and especially not for minor children. The suicide epidemic is a problem of culture that needs to change its definition of success and happiness. Generations younger than me have been exposed to online pornography and social media from childhood. They've been forced to make constant looks-based social comparisons and have a hyper-focus on sexuality. It's no wonder that the rates of depression, anxiety, and cosmetic surgery of young people vastly exceed those of any generation prior. Is it any wonder that the social contagion of body dysmorphia and eating disorders preceded gender dysphoria? When we as a society are normalizing and advocating for the surgical mutilation of young, healthy bodies on the basis of shoddy science and calling it medicine and progress, I would say that capitalism has outdone itself. My question to the Dutch government and governments in the West is this: when does the medicalization of pain end? Are we going to start advocating for funding for breast enhancements, lip injections, nose jobs, and penis enlargements because a child is experiencing beauty dysphoria or genital dysphoria and threatens to kill themselves? It is my belief that should this progress continue, we will eventually no longer look at humans, and especially not women, as whole sentient beings, but as objectified parts. For those who have never stepped foot in a jail or prison, I've been in nearly a dozen correctional centers. I cannot speak for those inmates, but I can say this: desegregating the sexes in prison is nothing short of a dangerous and cruel experiment. And it will make the environment less safe for both the inmates and the people who work there. Women have been assaulted already in care settings in the US and the UK. Trans rights activists, and I'm specifically talking to the cisgendered women who sit before me in good faith over there, who want desperately for everyone to get along and for everyone to accept everyone else. I see you, I understand you. To fight so strongly on behalf of a marginalized group that you fight for their interests above the interests of your own marginalized group just shows the embarrassing level of privilege that you take for granted. Bandwagoning onto a movement of virtue signaling is not virtuous. It's a sign of a deep desire to be liked and accepted at the cost of your autonomous thought, and in this case, at the cost of rights that women have worked so hard to gain in the last 150 years. I emigrated to the Netherlands for safety. I'm here today risking my social standing, my friendships, my career, my image, and my safety on behalf of all women. Women athletes, academics, professionals, incarcerated women, disadvantaged women, and leftist women who are too afraid to risk their careers and have their voices heard. As a mental health professional and a researcher, I've devoted my career to keeping people safe. As a therapist for sex offenders, understand that job requires an unnerving level of empathy. I will be the first to say that every trans person has a right to safety from violence and a right to freedom from discrimination in all aspects. If we're living in a society that's so divided to the point that we have a forced choice dichotomy where trans people feel excluded, or that they must participate and compete in spaces that have been specifically established for the fairness and safety of another marginalized group, then we've failed to adapt to changing norms, and we've lost our ability to creatively problem solve. When women won the right to vote, we won the right to vote as women, not as men. When black people gained rights to attend previously white schools, they did not do so by disavowing their black identity. When gay men and lesbians won the right to marriage equality, they did not do so by pretending to be heterosexual. When trans people fought for visible representation and acknowledgement of their identity, they did so by acknowledging their identity as trans women and trans men. Imposing on women's spaces is ignoring that cis women are a marginalized group, and ignoring that women are a marginalized group is misogyny. Trans people have unique identities worthy of understanding and having a safe and visible place in society, but we should never stand behind policies that actively erase and devalue women, minimalize our achievements, and undermine the safety that our mothers work so hard for. Thank you.